For many fashion lovers, a Michael Kors handbag coupled with a pair of Jimmy Choo heels completes any outfit. And after forking out $1.2 billion to bring the two brands under one umbrella, Michael Kors is hoping to venture into the higher end of luxury fashion while entering new markets.
As far as Michael Kors are concerned, who wouldn't want to add, if you're looking to expand into the luxury market, a brand such as Jimmy Choo, which has been so innovative over the last 20 years. So I do think it's a good deal all round. The question is, will Michael Kors be able to stop the slump, effectively, of falling earnings growth for the Jimmy Choo brand? If it does manage to expand it in a way that it wants to, for example, into other markets, including Asia.
Michael Kors has been struggling to adapt to a retail industry hinged on discounts and lower prices. In May, it reported an 11% drop in sales for the first quarter and said it would be closing more than 100 stores globally this year. This scramble to get shoppers to spend more has led to a number of acquisitions in the industry, while several fashion houses have also consolidated their lines. Most recently, US brand Coach bought accessories maker Kate Spade for $2.42 billion in May. Last year, Marc Jacobs cancelled its cheaper range to streamline sales to its high-end brand, while UK fashion house Burberry consolidated all three of its sub-labels.
You can always look at some of the major brands, things like Burberry, as possibly looking for acquisitions. The fact that the sector as a whole, the luxury sector, is being touted as one of the areas which could face difficulties in the coming years, always does just present opportunities for the major luxury retailers in order to try and scope out opportunities, especially if we are seeing these kind of figures that we were seeing at Jimmy Choo.
The Michael Kors Jimmy Choo purchase is expected to be finalized by the end of the year. In the meantime, the fashion forward will be hoping luxury fashion won't backslide any further. Adefemi Akinsanya, TRT World.
Marc Balet is the creative director and co-owner of the Mixed Business Group. That's a company that designs and markets web brands. He joins me now from New York. Marc, great to have you on Money Talks. You have quite a history yourself. You've served as art director for Andy Warhol and other prominent names such as Barney's department store in New York, Yves Saint Laurent, Giorgio Armani. From your experience, does the marriage between Michael Kors and Jimmy Choo's brands make sense from a business point of view, or could there be trouble merging these two companies?
Well, there's always going to be trouble merging companies. There's always going to be overlap. Things are going to change. But I think that for Michael Kors, I think it's a really kind of a great idea. There's authenticity. In Jimmy Choo, there's glamour and beauty. I think what Jimmy Choo has is a great editorial story. There's a great kind of editorial feeling to Jimmy Choo, which I think is lacking in Michael Kors now. I think that Michael had that, but now, if you ride the subway, everyone has Michael Kors. You're not seeing a lot of subway riders with Jimmy Choo on it. And so I think that putting themselves together is kind of a fantastic idea. The proof is going to be in the pudding. You never know. But I think that there's a real possibility that it's a great idea.
Okay, so Michael Kors, let's focus on that for a second. Why have brands like Michael Kors suffered over the last few years?
Well, they're saturated. I mean, the brands are everywhere. They lose their specialness after a while. If everybody has that same bag, if everyone has that same shoe, I think people now are looking for something that's more authentic and more special. They want to feel that they're styled themselves. And I think brands like Jimmy Choo, obviously at a $1,500, $2,000 or $3,000 bag, has that. Michael's kind of, although it's a beautifully made brand, I think the clothes are still great. He's so ubiquitous that after a while you just saturate the market, and they have to look other places to have another revenue stream.
Aside from,
and I think,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking that they could probably. There's a great melding of the brands where Michael Kors could probably help Jimmy Choo in some of their designs, and then Jimmy Choo would help them with another revenue stream.
Okay. Aside from these competitive forces, over the other trend we've seen, of course, over the last 10 years is the whittling away of the middle classes. And that is precisely the demographic that companies like Michael Kors have been targeting. Do you think this is another reason why companies like Michael Kors are suffering?
Well, you either have to go up or down if you're in the middle. And Michael Kors is not a brand that's going to look downward. They're going to look upward to a higher-end brand. I live in Soho in New York, and if you walk the streets in Soho, every other store is out of business. It's really a shame. There was an area of New York on Bleecker Street that had Marc Jacobs and all these other brands. It's now a ghost town. There's nothing there. So I think that brands themselves are in retail are in a kind of a desperate situation. I talk to people here in America, and even in as far away as Saudi Arabia, I've had conversations with people in helping them build their brands and try to find a market for them.
Mark, so do you see this trend of consolidation in the fashion industry continuing?
I think that, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how else it would go. As you know, brands are going to, certain big brands are going to saturate the market, and they've got to go somewhere. And so Jimmy Choo and higher end brands like that are a perfect, if they're willing to, are a perfect way to help both brands, basically. Help Jimmy Choo and help brands like Michael Kors.
Marc Balet, creative director
like a great idea.
and co-owner of the Mixed Business Group in New York. Thank you ever so much.